I've always hated Halloween. The jack-o'-lanterns, the candies, kids dressed in cheap, ridiculous costumes. I just wish it wasn't a thing. Not because there was anything wrong with it, really, just that it brought back too many sad memories. When I was a kid, my brother Bo and I couldn't wait to go trick-or-treating. Our folks weren't rich enough to buy decent Halloween costumes, so we would cut holes into white bed sheets and wear them instead. We would also cut holes inside actual pumpkins and empty their gooey guts and use them to collect candy. Honestly, I was a little creeped out by Halloween. Something about those lifeless pumpkin heads staring back at me never failed to give me the heebie-jeebies. Bo, on the other hand, relished it. He always went on and on about how Halloween was a night where the world of the living and the dead were bridged. He would always try to stay out till midnight in the hopes of bumping into a ghost or something. But our dad would never let that happen. I remember it like it was just yesterday. We would knock on doors 3 times and hide in bushes just to mess with the neighbors. That part never failed to get a chuckle out of Bo. Sadly, one night, while trick-or-treating, Bo ran onto the road without looking and got hit by a car. He died on the spot. At his funeral, I cried so hard that my eyes almost bled. It was an awfully tiny casket for my incredibly big brother. That experience stayed with me through most of my life. So because of that, I wanted absolutely nothing to do with Halloween. But all that would change one terrible night. Like every other Halloween night, the neighborhood was arrayed with spooky decorations. Jack-o'-lanterns dotted the front of every home. Kids shuffled from door to door, stuffing their faces full of candy. I usually left some candy on the front porch, so no snot-nosed kid had to knock on my door. This is why I was surprised when I heard a knock on the door at around 11:45 p.m. I ignored it. It was probably some kid pulling a prank or something. But then the knock echoed again. This time, it was much louder. Rotten kids. I slammed the door and bolted it. But no sooner had I done so than I heard another rap on the door. It was even more forceful now. I swung the door open, but again, there was no one there. I slammed the door again and made it to the living room, but just like before, there was a pounding on my door. I threw the door open. "Listen here, kid, you better get out or I'll..." The words were caught in my throat as I noticed something on the floor. It was a pumpkin head. With its cover closed, the pumpkin was festering. It looked like it was decomposing or something. As a matter of fact, its skin had lost all its color. It vaguely reminded me of the ones Bo and I went trick-or-treating with all those years ago. Ugh, what the hell is this? I picked it up. I could hear an icky, squirming sound like something was wriggling around inside it. Although all my senses begged me not to, I uncovered the pumpkin head and nearly threw up in my mouth. There were maggots squirming around inside. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Jesus! I screamed and threw the pumpkin head away. Whoever's doing this, it's not funny. You hear me? I'm gonna call the cops. Then I slammed the door again, fuming. I had barely turned before I heard another knock on the door. This time, I grabbed the baseball bat. I was truly fed up with this sick game. "What do you want?" I yelled out as I opened the door. My blood ran cold at the sight of what I beheld. It was a child in a ghostly white bedsheet. The white cloth had eye holes cut into it, just like the ones Bo and I used to wear. The child's eyes, however, were pale and white, like some kind of gremlin. Fear shot through my body, but I did my best to suppress it. "Hey, kid, what are you doing here? Can't you see it's late? Where are your parents?" The spooky child did not reply. I wasn't even entirely sure it heard me. Then suddenly, I heard it whisper,
"Let's go trick-or-treating, Mike. Let's go now before it's too late."
All the hair on the back of my neck stood on end. It sounded like Bo's voice. How did you know my name? Is this a sick joke? Furious, I reached out and grabbed the white sheet and yanked it. But to my astonishment, there was no one underneath. It was as though the bed sheet had been floating on thin air.
Let's go trick-or-treating, Mike. Let's go before it's too late.
I could hear the voice hissing from all sides. Blood was pounding in my ears. I quickly rushed back into the house and slammed the door. It felt like my heart was going to beat straight out of my chest.
Mike, it's your big brother, Bo. Let's go trick-or-treating before it's too late.
The door quivered and shook as someone or something pounded on it from the other side. This time it was heavy and violent. It felt like the door was about to fly right off its hinges. I stopped my ears with my hands, quivering, wishing it would all stop, and then suddenly it did. There was silence. I couldn't hear whispers anymore, not even a peep. I opened the door again and checked, but there was no one there. Then I looked at my watch and saw that the time was 12:01 a.m.